Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Swipe in the City. It's Marie.
And Michelle.
Michelle's yelling because we're not recording in our usual place. We
We're-
don't have microphones.
We don't have mics. It's a new environment. I have a Red Bull. It's very confusing. So,
Everything is fine.
everything is fine. Speaking of fine, what is today's episode about?
I was just going to say, we have a very special episode.
So special.
So special.
So special.
Every single one of our episodes is special.
This is special.
Because this one is our birthday.
And it's my birthday, and I'll get drunk. It's a Friday.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's our birthday. Swipe in the City, the blog was born June 5th, 2018. And Swipe in the City, the podcast, the same day, but 2020. We fucking did it. We did a year, dude.
We did a year.
We did a year.
People will be like, oh, well, not work people, because I'm like, I don't really want you to listen to this. I talk about dick and titties. It's fine. As I sell, like, software. So.
Yeah, it's fine.
But, like, people will ask, because you say you have a podcast, and then people...
What's it about?
People are like, oh, what's it about? And you're like, oh, dating. They're like, oh. And they're like, oh, how long have you done it? Because they assume it's, like, 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And to be honest... I'm shocked and blown away and so proud of us. I think we've missed a total of, in the last 52 weeks since we launched, I think we've missed a total of maybe like 8 weeks.
I don't think it was even that many.
Maybe 6, but we've been...
I feel like we did maybe like 4 or 5 because we missed one for the storm. We took a Christmas break. I actually wanted, because Ashley, our food blogger friend was ATX Broke Girls for anybody. Ashley, hey, we love you.
Hey.
I was chit-chatting with her like, I don't know, a week or so ago, and she was just like, I'm so impressed with y'all's consistency. And I was like, I know this is the first. I meant to send you a screenshot and then I forgot. So
you wanted my reaction.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
You're in sales or marketing, someone complimenting you on consistency is legit like I was gonna say hand job. I don't know.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's not in a good place right now. It's not in a bad place right now, but
it's in a lot of places based on the conversations we've had so far.
My mind's in a funny place.
Lots of places.
So lots of places. Let's go back. I wish we had like the skills to do like, and now the video goes back to our first video. It's fine.
That'd be adorable.
So tracking back to our first episode, like they could all listen to it, but I was thinking about our whole experience with trying to record it. And so Mike, the producer, was our fucking MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't think we've ever told the story of like how we started the podcast.
I don't think so. I think all you said on that first episode, because I re-listened to it this morning, was that we were talking about it and now we're making it. Which I think is very descriptive of the way that we do things. We said it, we came, we said it, we did it, we conquered.
We put it on a notebook and then we did it.
We made a list.
No, but I think for people who maybe like are newer, especially after like we have a little thing coming up next week.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are like newer listening, pretty crazy. Like we've only been friends for
lightly over a year. Like a year and a month or 2.
7 weeks.
Yeah.
And we were just bullshitting and had a really good like back and forth conversation. And so we go down to we live in the same building. We live in the same building. We go down to the pool and we have our little fucking notebooks and we're like, a podcast is a great idea. What do we need for a podcast?
Because I think it was the typical conversation where we were bullshitting about dating and we were just laughing our asses off. And it was
and our friends were laughing about the way we were talking about it.
Yeah. And then we were like, we should have a podcast, like kind of the way I feel like all girls like, oh, we should have our own show. And we were like, we should have a podcast. And then we were like, you know what? We should.
So then we're planning, and as we're planning, we have our little notebooks, and we're like, podcast needs
equipment,
things to record podcasts, things to do social media, images. And as we're doing that, Mike, the producer, who honestly, I wish he would just like stroll in, like he's done on like some of the episodes in my apartment. But
Mike, he knows mine is always.
Mike, the producer, walks by and he's like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?"
I think he was getting a tennis ball that his balcony faces the pool, and he'd overthrown it for his dogs, and it landed in the pool area, right?
Also, can we take a second? I know a lot of you aren't on video, but can we talk about how good my hair looks? My like fresh washed, like natural curls look on the video.
It does look great, doesn't it? It's that FaceTime HD camera.
Oh yeah, it's no thanks. You're like, you look like shit, but
no, this is just another opportunity for me to plug Apple.
Girl, I'm gonna be 8K in when I go all in, so
I know. And it's gonna be worth every single penny, I promise you.
But long story short, Mike the producer was like, "Oh, podcast? Do you need equipment?" And we were like,
our jaws dropped.
Our jaws dropped. We looked at each other. We looked at him. We looked at each other with like
I kid you not. Like that was really what happened.
It was the longest minute in fucking Texas history.
And he thought we were probably psycho by the way we reacted.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he knows that we're psycho, especially now, but
I feel like psycho's like a little bit stronger than a term I would use to describe
psycho, but we're endearing. What's that song? Cute but psycho? Or is that just a meme? I don't know, whatever. Anyway.
But he was like, "Oh, I have equipment." And we were like, "Wait, we're literally basically like two children, like like scribbling dreams of our like fucking podcast, and all of a sudden our fucking someone walks by with the means to make it happen. Like, there's no way this isn't something that needs to happen."
It's a sign.
Mike, the producer, the start of this, I can't believe it's been a year.
I know. It's insane.
I've been through so many deep, endearing, loving relationships over the last year.
Lots of dates. She just like chugged her drink, y'all. Like she's like so many.
I'm trying to think if I wish I would have done a little math and figured out like first date, second date, third date, fourth date, like, and done some like percentage
spreadsheet.
Yeah. Well, just like where I've gone. To be fair, since we started, I don't know. I do genuinely feel like I've grown a bit. I think when we started, I was still in like, it's Austin, let's go.
New to town.
Ish. Newish, and also just like wasn't like not ready, but like I wasn't quite ready to have some of those like stronger conversations, or I hadn't met people that I was like, oh, like I could like if you listen to our first couple episodes, I'm like, oh god, the idea of a relationship makes me want to throw up. And like that's not the case. Also, if you're a guy trying to see me right now, that's not my case right now.
She's available. Her heart is opening up.
That's okay. Well, that's
a little bit.
But it's really interesting because again, over that year, and also just like dating over the last year, and also like making new friends and being in a new city and just learning from others too. I've kind of, I don't know. I'm not like one of those, I'm like, oh, this is where I am and I'm ready. And if you want to fucking jump on my train, let's go. Like,
I'm ready for marriage. Is that what, are you ready for marriage? No. Y'all should see her face right now. I'm glad we're doing video for this one.
I wish we had shots for this.
Ugh.
Marie would never, no. But I also probably should have brought up a rap ball.
It's fine.
My point, again, is just like knowing what we talked about in the first couple of episodes and knowing where I am now. I mean, both of us, like, honestly, I feel like we've grown a lot. And um not necessarily as like triggers or responses to certain things, but like I just feel like we've grown a lot, and I think part of it is being in a space where you're putting yourself out there and then also like listening back to it.
Yeah, that's not always easy, guys, if you're wondering.
Yeah,
editing your own podcast is hard. Like some of those big ones y'all are listening to, like they
don't touch it.
They have legit producers. They record it and then it's over, and they don't have to listen to it again unless they want to. We literally go back and listen to every single episode, and we don't make a lot of edits, if anybody was wondering.
But it's one of those things where it's also like, I feel like people don't realize, yeah, it's like, oh, you have a dating podcast, you go on dates so you can talk about, talk shit about people. It's like, no. We talk about the really hard shit we've been through. We talk about
toxic relationships we did a couple weeks ago with Mike. And I mean, that one, like, I was thinking about it, like, last week, and the majority of the relationships that I've been, and the reason that I was single for as long as I was because I didn't want to get into a toxic one, and that's what my experience is. I've been talking about that in therapy a lot. Thanks, Dad.
Hashtag Larry.
Yeah, Larry is my therapist.
Larry is a therapist. Sorry. Side note. But like also, it's really interesting because, again, as this is like our anniversary episode or birthday or whatever the fuck we're calling it, I don't know. It's our shotgun episode. I don't know. Thinking back on what we've like discussed and talked about has brought out like us having this podcast encouraged me to go to therapy. It didn't work out because my therapist decided that she was gonna go to the post office in the middle of our session. But however, I tried.
You tried
so hard.
And you know what? You'll find a better one.
I'll find one. We'll get there. Whatever.
Just like my stepdad said in one of our Ask a Therapist episodes, it's like finding the right therapist is like dating, and you've got to find a couple frogs first.
We've had the amazing fucking opportunity to raise up our friends with some panels. I'd love for you to.
Yeah, I mean, because you're like talking too about some of these conversations that are a little bit more difficult, and I think honestly, just the past year, 2020, we all know was just such a shit show. Michelle is making the worst face at the camera for those of you not watching, because it's just, I mean, we're all thinking about 2020 making the same face. But I think one of the more positive things that did come out of that year, socially, is that we are having more of these difficult discussions, whether it's around, race, mental health, sexuality, like we all know what some of these like big stressors have been. This isn't a political podcast, so we're not going to get into that, but like it's brought us, or we've kind of brainstormed ways to incorporate that in a way that makes sense and in a way that is sharing some of those stories that are really important in a personal way. And so, I mean, like, that's why, like, the panel that we did for Black History Month, and last month doing the Pride panel, like, those for me personally meant a lot, because I think it's really important to have, if you have a platform, to be able to utilize it to just get the word out when it's necessary.
I think in those cases too, it's like, and also if y'all have not listened, please go. We have
amazing people in this.
I don't typically use this word, but we're like so blessed in the sense that we are like, because lucky doesn't feel like right? Like we're so blessed in the sense that we have such amazing people in our lives that we were able to bring people in to have these like really open, honest conversations around, again, like what it's like to like Aaron, like what it's like to date as a Black woman, or like, Brandon, like what it's like to date, or even like, Rebecca and stuff. So it's like, it's been really, really amazing to be able to not just be like, hey, we have a podcast. Hey, come hear about, who I fucked yesterday.
Yeah, we're not call her daddy. That's one thing, like, I don't think, no, that's, Michelle just screamed so loud my cat ran away. That's why they hate you. But they don't hate you, I'm kidding. I think, okay, that's one thing, though, that we've never talked about on this show is the number of times that we get compared to call her daddy. There is literally nothing that pisses me off more. Because A, I hate that chick's voice. B, I could barely make it through an episode. And C, she doesn't know. I don't have any. Not that we know much, right? But we at least admit it. She walks around like acting like she knows everything. At least, sorry if y'all are Call Her Daddy fans. That's my rant. That's how I personally feel about her.
Are we gonna tag her in this episode? I don't think so.
She's really pretty. Anyways, but it's just, I hate that comparison.
To your point, the thing about it is like, also I'm like, I feel like we're presenting. No, the thing about it is that everyone we meet, literally every single time we meet someone, we're like, oh yeah, podcast, that's cool, dating podcast, cool. Is it Call Her Daddy, or if you like Call Her Daddy? It's like, no, we're actually like a little more like I don't know. I don't want to say she's like not genuine, but like we have our own thing, and we've like I feel like we just produce something that is really special.
We're not a Barstool Sports
right
type brand. Like I think the first thing I realized about that podcast is like it is so there's something about it that's appealing to women, but it is 100% tailored to men. It's like, yeah. And so honestly, I wish more people in our network listen to the You Up podcast, because I feel like personally that's what that would be if a podcast could have a role model, that would be ours, and we reference it every other paragraph that we speak. Yeah.
Well, so like You Up too so You Up, what's really cool about it is like it's super simple. Like they're just like, hey, we're gonna talk. It's Jared Freed is our favorite,
and we still haven't met him. It's been a year, and we still have not met him.
The big thing for us is like, we are not trying to be authentic. Like we are here. We are sharing stories. Like when you hear the pauses and the like voice go down or this or that, like it's hard. We're Scorpios. It's hard for us. It's hard for us to express ourselves, and we are trying to do that for y'all, like for us and for y'all.
Yeah.
So that maybe whether it's like learning or hearing or whatever, like for me, sometimes when I hear some stuff, I'm like, oh, I was being I was being a piece of shit, like because I hear a podcast or a show or something, like also just. What was the main thing when we first started? It was not conspiracy, but also 2020. No. It was like we're here. We're in the thick of it. We're like we're in the dirt with
commiserating, because we're commiserating with everything, which was the whole purpose. Like when I started the blog, that was literally I think the first thing that I would say to people when pitching it was just like, yeah, no, it's a dating blog. I'm not dating for content. Like you said earlier, like that's not why we date. It's because we genuinely want something eventually, right? And what we learn along the way, that's what this is to share. And, obviously we've got some fun stuff with like the Shit Guys Say episodes, and we do poke fun at it, but it's like, come on. There's some I hope there's some learning that people can take away from this.
Here's the thing. Shit Guys Say, every once in a while, so for y'all that don't know,
we're a little mean.
No, with the Shit Guys Say episode, I do want to say, like, we're not trying to shit on people.
Right.
We're not trying to shit on people. That's why, like, we're not really saying names. We don't do photos, anything like that. At the same time, like, first of all, men, if you're listening to this, get your fucking act together. Like, you up at 4:30 on a Tuesday, 4:30 a.m. on a Tuesday? No, I have a job. Fuck, man. What do you feel like you've learned from this specifically? Like, this, besides,
From
like,
the podcast.
besides, like, technical video, whatever, like, how has this shaped how you approach conversations in relationships? Sorry, that's a loaded.
That is very loaded. I feel like I'm more careful and I'm very mindful of what I'm doing. And not just for the sake of like, oh, like I'm going on a date. Am I going to mention this guy? Like, we've been on this many dates. When do we mention him on the podcast? What's his nickname? I just mean like I'm more mindful, like from the get-go of like, okay, well, like, who do I want to match with now? And maybe this isn't just the podcast. Maybe the podcast has helped to bring it out of me. I think some of it is just kind of like, in a way, growing up.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm you and I both, we're gonna be 30 this year, dude. No, I feel like I'm mindful and careful. I'm taking things more so like one step at a time. And thinking carefully about the impact that other person might have on my life, to be honest with you, because and some of that I think is pandemic learning of just like, you know, once everything that you were once doing is taken away from you, now what? And like, what do you value and who do you value? And I feel like I've just been very cognizant of that. Rant over. What have you learned? Same question.
Okay, so again, tracking back to our first couple of episodes, again, not going to make assumptions, but do you think some of that, like, more processing before you, like, accept someone or this or that, do you think some of that comes as, like, because that's my MO, where I'm like, I don't know. I feel like, because the way you were describing it is like what I feel like in our first couple of episodes is how I described dating. Because I was like, I need to like take it super, super slow. I need to know someone. I need to like have these conversations. I think what you were describing is a little bit different, but I'm thinking about like, I think it's really interesting because
I was always pretty aligned with you on a lot of that, of just like the like kind of playing it by ear thing. But I feel like this to me isn't I'm just taking it slow or I'm taking it at a slower pace.
Being strategic.
I'm not just taking it slow, I'm thinking. I'm thinking
strategic.
about why. Yeah. Well, strategic makes it sound like kind of malicious in my opinion, but like,
oh yeah,
like I'm not being like, it's not like, oh, like I'm playing chess. Like I'm thinking, I'm being really cognizant of what, like everything about it, right? Not that you're not being cognizant about that other person and the potential impact of your life.
Oh no, there are thousands.
But I mean, that's like, I think that's where I'm taking it. And like, so if being cognizant and like internalizing that
was inspired by me.
No, it means I want to take the next step, then I'm going to take the next step if I want to. Yeah. Right? Or like if being cognizant means, okay, well, I need to kind of move at my partner's pace or move a little bit slower because they did something dumb and I don't know if that's a red flag or a deal breaker. You know, whereas before, if I was moving, like whatever pace I was moving at, I was honestly kind of ignoring a lot of red flags.
I feel like there's like so much to that. And, well, no, but also like, I personally really appreciate you going into that because I actually like have seen that. I've seen that growth. Like again, it's so funny because people will be like,
"Oh, you heard it here first.
You heard it here.
It's real. I didn't make it up."
It's so funny because people are like, "Oh, how long have you and Marie known each other?" And it's like, "Oh,
Like a year.
9 months.
Yeah.
Like, what? And like this, that, and it's like, but it's so wild because within that year, I've seen so much growth in you, and like,
we've been through a lot.
This is not a pandemic episode.
Although the first was quarantine dating, but
what was your question to me was basically what? Like, what have I learned?
Yeah. Same question. You love to ask me questions that you don't want to answer yourself, so I'm throwing it back at you.
So my biggest thing, and I have nothing to the thing that's really interesting about me, I feel like, is like I'm very self-aware. Everyone I talk to, everyone I meet, everyone, oh, you're very self-aware, yeah. But I struggle to take those in my personal life. I struggle to take those things and be action oriented. And there are elements of doing this podcast that have shown that to me, where like just random stuff. But I also so I moved to Austin in November of 2019. The city shut down in
5 or 6 months later,
March of 2020. I met you June 2020. May, June. But it wasn't until we started this podcast that I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to get back out there. I'm going to try dating again. Because honestly, in Portland, and also if anyone's fucking listening or watching, dating in Portland is literally like all those memes that are like, hey, what is that? And it's a raccoon in a trash can and it's like exploding out.
God, that's dating in Portland.
I got here and I was like,
that's so aggressive.
Literally, I'd be like talking to someone at the bar and be on a date, and I was like, so you have a job? And they're like, yeah, I work in like tech sales. And I was like, cool. And I was like, and you, how do you get around? And they're like, I drive myself in my car. And I was like, oh, cool. And so like, what are your roommates like? They're like, I don't have any. And I was like, oh. Chokes on tequila shot. And I was like, I'm sorry, did you just say you have a job, a car, and live by yourself? This in Portland, this would be like this is it.
Is Portland really that bad?
Honestly, okay. Mom, please mute your ears. I did not realize it, but I may or may not have been casually saying a guy who was he delivered pizzas on a bike.
How?
For a job.
How does he deliver he balances the pizza on the bike?
I'm
sorry that's my first question.
He had like a little platform. And he also, like, Brandon, you fucking know you're gonna die listening to this. But like, he had like a little tray and he literally his job was to put pizzas on his bike to deliver them.
Not that there's anything wrong with pizza delivery men. You guys keep me alive.
However.
And if you're riding a bike, I guess that's very environmentally friendly, which feels very on brand for Portland. But you cannot pick somebody up for a date if you only have a bicycle.
Also, there were just, some other disconnects. But coming from that to here, where I'm literally like, oh, you.
I mean, to be fair, we live right by the Oracle building. So, like, tech
everyone's
sales, like, oh, everybody's in tech sales. I'm like, yeah, no, that's literally half of Austin. Like,
let's go.
Not that it's a bad thing. Like, I mean, the sales bro is a cliche for a reason, but like,
oh, I did go on a couple dates with the sales bro, and it was just like jargon. But anyways, I feel like one of the other things we wanted to cover was just like some of the episodes and stuff we've talked about.
We've done a lot, and I feel like I don't remember, and so I feel like, all right, so we started, how much of this do we really want to say? Because, I mean, again, we've done almost 52 episodes. I don't like that.
I have an idea for not going through this, but I think we should talk about a couple of things. One is our series, Shit Guys Say.
Uh-huh.
So if this is your first time listening, again, we're not trying to be mean. We're not trying to be bitches. However, our friends send us messages or we see these hinge...
Or we get them.
Yeah, or we get these, like, hinge prompts or hinge messages or whatever, or DMs. And it's... Honestly, it's like a PSA. Like, we're...
No, that's exactly what it is.
It's community service.
Yes.
Where's Paul?
Paul is also on those episodes with us as our resident dude. So because obviously we need somebody to read the guys' parts and the messages.
But it's, yeah, there's some stuff like, yo, the next one is going to be lit because I've been scrolling through Hinge and also wanting to punch myself in the face.
Or every guy that messages you on.
Where are you? 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Not on Hinge.
Sleeping in my bed?
No,
you're not invited, sir. So we've got the Shit Guys Say, which honestly also those are like some of the most fun episodes that we record. Also because Paul is just such a great energy.
He also brings his little shaker.
Yeah, he brings like sound effects. He's always got something weird.
If he's not at home, he's got like a little like...
Yeah, he's got a whole soundboard at home. Yeah. Maybe no, he won't.
Yeah,
he won't
go on.
He's a producer. But sorry, just kidding, Mike. And then what else do? We do dating best practices. That's probably our most diverse series because we started that. It was meant to be a series of 3. Do you remember that? Like,
I don't remember 3, but I wish
we launched it as 3. We did like the dating app best practices, the profile where we gave profile tips, like the first message, the first date. We did 3. I don't remember what all of them were. But it's kind of morphed into just like that's how we now organize any of the episodes of our advice. Again, not that we're experts.
My favorite episode is our 10th episode. My mom was in town. And for any of y'all that need a little bit of just like a confidence boost, an ego boost, like just a little something, it starts
motivation.
It starts off really conversational, and then it gets into Daniela Hannah 68 going, "You are worthy. You deserve it. Don't ever take anything less than you." Like, she comes at you hard in the best way possible. So
she's just the sweetest human I think I've ever met.
She's like she's the most, how do I put it, like open-hearted, like
she has a big heart and she's not afraid to love with it.
She spent her whole life, like every single day of her life, she looks at everyone else first and then maybe she thinks about herself, but she literally looks at everyone else in her life, fucking extended family, current family, whatever, like, hey, Mom.
Cheers to Mom.
Because I know you're watching. I love you.
And then the other series that we do that I almost forgot about because we only have a few in here. Anybody who wants to, if you have a success story, holler at us in the DMs. We started that success stories series with our dear friend Rebecca Daniels at Lazarus Brewing because we can't go an episode without mentioning Lazarus. But for real, like those are some of my favorites because we're talking to people who like really, I mean, they've done it, right? Did we do another one? We had another success stories in here, I think.
No, we have a couple planned. Oh, no.
No, that's just the one.
We have a couple planned. The big thing for us is not like, again, Mom, we're gonna like, my mom and stepdad have a very unique story, so when they're ready to tell it, boom. We have some of their friends, but it's just like, it's not like, we met in college and, oh, we have the same, not that that's a bad thing, but like,
Love to hear those stories too.
But, like, what I am super interested in is, like, showcasing the stories where people went through, like, a really fucking dark time. Not dark, but, like, they went through something, and then they figured it out because they, like, loved each other and they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's really where the relationship gets tested. But I also think it's interesting to hear from the people who have matched and are still with their partners that they met on dating apps.
Yeah.
It's one of the most interesting things to me talking to Bex was like, I mean, she was just so intentional about what she did on Hinge. More so than I think I ever could possibly be. But it was like she made it like, okay, I'm on for this amount of time, and if I don't get anything, then like I'm deleting the app and I'm over it.
I've been struggling with a lot of things lately, but one of them is just like I don't, this or that, and it's things that I've grown past that I like understand that I'll either have eventually or I don't want or whatever. But it's just kind of like been fucking bumping me in the head. And so my big thing is I want people to um when you feel that pressure from other people to take a step back or 2 steps or 17 or fucking
However
20
many
steps
need.
and really assess like am I just feeling pressured to this because of family? Am I feeling pressured to this because
Friends.
all of my friends? Do I want this? Like, it's really fucking hard to not, I don't know. It's really hard.
I think that's a great point because I feel like I know people who have, whether it's they've gotten into relationships or maybe they've taken it so far as to get married and not like they weren't ready for it. They did it because that was what, their friend group was doing. And or even because like, oh, well, I guess that's just the next step in my relationship. Well, I think that we need to do, and I've kind of had this in the back of my head for a while, is like kind of talk about a little bit more about some of the unconventional relationships. And I mean, at the end of the day, I remember, I mean, this podcast is the namesake is Sex in the City. There was an episode in there where I don't remember if it was Carrie or who the hell said it, but like it was Carrie. They were talking about making their own rules. I think it was the movie actually. Now that Michelle's just staring at me because she's never seen any of this, but like, maybe that's what we should have done in this past year. But like, Carrie says she gets into this marriage with Big, and like they make their own rules. They decided they didn't want to have children, and like they made the decision together. And like I think if you're single, like you have to kind of know a little bit or know what your flexibilities are, right? And then when you have your partner, like don't just slide around in it. Do what feels right for you. And so to kind of like tie it back to the success stories, it was interesting because although neither Michelle nor I are about like moving quite as quickly as Bex did, that was what she wanted, and she wanted it. It wasn't like her parents made her want it, her friends made her want it, her coworkers. She wanted that. And he wanted it too.
She knew exactly what she wanted and she put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew exactly what he wanted and he put it out there.
And they aligned.
And it's like.
And their baby is due any minute. like literally. Literally, like she is about to, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And we talked about this too. Like, there's nothing wrong. Like, I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like I live in the gray area or the middle of a lot of things.
A spectrum, perhaps.
Oh. If y'all are listening to this on Wednesday and you're in Austin, we actually got invited.
We did.
We got invited to participate in a live talk show at the Buzzmouth. So Thursday, July
8th.
Yes. the first Thursday in July.
Yeah, July 8th.
We are going to be answering dating questions. So number one, we need y'all to submit your dating questions so that these fucking
So we have something to talk about. We need to talk.
We need something.
And yeah.
Literally any questions.
But we're super excited. It's gonna be really fun.
It's a comedy show. Like honestly, I'm like fucking so like excited. It's like I'm like, oh, you mean open mic meets dating podcast meets like.
So submit your questions to us at Swipe in the City on Instagram. Slide in, please. Also, show up if you're in town. Like, duh. We want to see y'all, and if you don't know us personally, introduce yourselves, because not that we're famous and not that we don't know a lot of our followers, because we do, but we want to meet anybody that doesn't already know us because we love you.
Also, I will regret this, but I will buy the first 3 beers. No, I will buy
That's a huge commitment. You won't regret that. I'll let you.
For the first 3 people who say, I heard y'all and I showed up because you said you'd buy me a beer. First 3, I'll buy you a fucking beer.
There you go. Michelle, can we make one more announcement, even though it's a little bit in the future?
I'm scared. Go ahead.
Well, no, this was your idea. We have a table because I mean, it's our birthday, right? So it's our birthday. Maybe this is. I already bought the table.
Is it the most Scorpio thing in the world to decide that instead of an anniversary, we're having a second birthday?
I don't know, but anyway, so for our birthday, we bought tickets for ourselves, and a lucky listener, to join us, because all we've ever wanted to do is see Jared Freed live. So we bought a table for his show that's going to be here in Austin, Texas. It's going to be the first weekend in October. And just be on the lookout on our social medias, because we're gonna be giving away that ticket to one lucky listener. Anybody who does whatever the sweepstakes thing is that we come up with on. We haven't thought that far ahead yet, because we are
we're giving away a fucking ticket to see our Uncle Jared.
We have been screaming about like wanting Jared Freed to come to Austin, and he finally announced it. And so obviously we didn't just get general admission tickets, we got a table.
Do you think he's gonna meet us, or do you think he's gonna see us?
He's gonna laugh at us. He's gonna run way far away.
On that note, honestly though, like
serious note,
a real massive thank you. Wanderlust Wines has been Wanderlust Wine Company has been huge. Sammy, we love you. It's been a huge partner for us through this.
Sammy, we've got Death by Mimosa.
If y'all want a hat or a shirt, we got a code. Swipe right.
It's on our.
You want it? But like, I don't know, not to get sentimental, but thank you for every single person who has listened, who has supported, who has showed up to an event. Like, we had a speed dating event, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and there were some matches that dated because of it.
There are matches that like dated.
I'm so excited to do more events like that. I ran into Sammy when I was at Wanderlust the other day, and I was like, I can't wait to do more of this with you. So yeah, I mean, keep an eye out. Like I said, we're gonna have that giveaway. We're going to be at Buzzmill on Thursday, the 8th of July, and just keep in touch with us. Slide into our DMs with feedback and whatever else you want to say. Don't just say, hey, what's up, because that's lame.
Also, just a reminder, when you slide into the Swipe in the City Instagram, it's both of us.
Yeah, it is. It's both of us, and it's very likely that we're not even like...
So if you're trying to fuck one of us, just like figure out what our actual Instagram is.
Both of our Instagrams are conveniently tagged on the bio of Swipe in the City. So smart, right? But yeah, no, we are at Swipe and the City on Instagram. I was gonna say Gmail. I mean, it is at gmail.com. SoundCloud, everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, which we don't really use, but whatever.
And on that note,
Mwah! Happy birthday to us.
are you sure that was recording?
Yeah.